Dharma Bites is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
So, what is this about Barbies? Well, I think it's partly to do with getting older. My sight's not so good. And all these metal images of Buddhas, in the end, they weren't really doing much for me. I couldn't see them very well because they haven't got any details on them unless you look really closely. And I've always loved colour. I love colour, just having a lot of colour around. And in one's sadhana, in any visualisation, a lot of colour emerges. So the metal images just didn't really move me so much. Actually, that one is a bit of an exception because I've got a very large Padmasambhava, but he is very big, that is metal. So what is all this about? Well, it's really about imagination. It's about being free to use our imagination. When we're young, when we're children, we have no trouble using our imagination and making games and, really enjoying ourselves. And I think one of the drawbacks, of Buddhism, and particularly Triratna Buddhism, is it can be a bit churchy. It can be a little bit quiet and subdued. Not at Buddhafield, I hasten to add, and not sometimes, and not some of the retreats I've done in the past, but, it can all be a little bit subdued, and we can get a bit caught up with being good Buddhists and doing things the right way. But actually, I think if we're going to really engage our heart, if we're not going to be oppressed, if you like, by practicing Buddhism, we need to learn to play. We need to learn to include play. I suppose what I'm talking about really is making our life all of a piece. Buddhism isn't something you go and do somewhere. It's like it should be all of our life. So if it's going to be all of our life, it's got to be fun as well. It's really important that we find images and ways of practice that really thrill us, that excite us. Otherwise, I think things can become very, very dry.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharma Bite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.